Hello there friends and welcome. In this video I'm going to talk about my Brown Fur Transmuter Arcanist build to provide the ultimate spell support to your party members. My favorite build choice for this is actually both Eldritch Knight and Brown Fur Transmuter, culminating in a character that has not only very powerful buffing abilities, but also very powerful melee capabilities, such as very high attack bonus even with power attack on, not to mention an amazing amount of damage, and decent armor class as well. Remember that this is also a full arcane caster, with very powerful buffing spells. But what makes this class so powerful? Two very unique abilities, the first one being Powerful Change. Whenever you spend a point from your arcane pool, you will be able as a free action to increase the ability bonus given by any transmutation spell by a +2. What this means is a spell like Bow Strength, for example, instead of giving a +4 enhancement bonus to strength, we now give a +6. Now the best thing about this is that it also works for spells that grant bonuses of different types, so let us take Enlarge Person for example. While Bow Strength is an enhancement bonus, Enlarge Person will give a size bonus to strength instead. So by casting both Enlarge Person and Bow Strength, while empowered by Powerful Change ability, your character will be able to have +4 strength over not having it, +2 from enhancement and +2 from size. Not only that, but starting from level 9, they also get the Shared Transmutation ability. With this ability, Brown Furs can cast any personal transmutation spell on allies as well. A good example being Frightful Aspect, which will give an ally a +6 size bonus to strength, +4 to constitution, natural armor increase, and also a very powerful instant shaken aura with no save, and even very powerful defensive buffs such as Ice Body and Fiery Body. So overall these two abilities make Brown Fur pretty much the ultimate support character as far as buffs. So let's get started. Now as you might already know, I like going with Human for a race. Now when it comes to background, I like going with Oblate and also Healer because with this our character will be able to have access to all the lore skills, which will also scale all from intelligence. If you don't care for the lore and knowledge skills, you can pick something else. Now because this is a mercenary, he's going to start with lower ability points than a main character. 17 intelligence, 14 constitution, 14 strength. Now I do recommend you spend the last remaining points in charisma. That's because this will let us use our Swift Consume Arcanist ability one more time per day, which will help us later on when regaining arcane pool points. The last point can go into dexterity really, it doesn't really make a difference. You can of course dump something like wisdom to get an even score in dexterity. Now for skill points, I like going with all the lore skills, but the choice is up to you really. Not only that, but also use Magic Device for scrolls and wands. Now your feat selection is very simple really. You certainly want to go with both Spell Focus Conjuration and also Greater Spell Focus Conjuration. The reason is simple really, and all because of the very powerful Grease spell. This spell is of the Conjuration school and can quite easily trivialize most of the early game, even on hard and unfair at times. Now your Arcanist exploit choice is also easy. Potent Magic without a doubt. By default, Arcanists can choose to increase either their caster level or the difficulty class of a spell by 1, so long as they spend a point of their arcane pool. With Potent Magic, this bonus will increase by +2 instead of just 1. By combining this with Grease and also the Spell Focus Conjuration line, your Grease will achieve very high difficulty class. Now for spell selection, I like going with, well, Grease of course, Mage Armor, Shield, Enlarge Person, Reduce Person, and also True Strike to help us hit enemies later on. Date is up to you, I'll be going with Nethys. Alignment as well, I'll pick Neutral. Now simply customize our character, and let's get started. So at level 2 we only get more spells. You can pick anything as we already have the best ones. I'll go with Hurricane Bow and also Magic Missile. Now at level 3 we get another feat. It might surprise you to know that I like going with Martial Weapons Proficiency, and the reason is simple really. Outside of casting Grease and buffing our characters, our Brown Fur Transmuter won't have anything to do really. With Martial Weapons Proficiency, we will be able to attack debuffed enemies after properly casting Grease and knocking them down. Not only that, but it is very easy to remain safe even on higher difficulties as a full spellcaster by having Reach Weapons and also casting Enlarge Person on yourself. Most times just having Reach Weapons is more than enough. With Martial Weapons, we will be able to equip both Glaives and also Bardiches. Now you might also wonder, what about our low base attack bonus? But the truth is, it is far easier to achieve high attack bonus in melee attacks than with ranged weapons. To get started, you can increase your strength way higher than dexterity with the aid of size spells, such as Enlarge Person and Legendary Proportions. Not only that, but there are more situational debuffs to melee armor class, such as Prone from Grease, which gives the enemy a massive -4 penalty to armor class against melee, a +2 from flanking or +4 with the outflank feat, never mind the debuff from Distracting Shot mythic ability. As for more spells, go with Magic Weapon and Protection from Alignment. At level 4 we have our first ability point increase, of course everything will go into intelligence. Now we have our first level 2 spell pick. Because we are a Brown Fur, we certainly want bow strength to increase with our powerful change ability. And the second one would be Glitter Dust, as it is a very powerful debuffing spell. Level 5 means another feat. If you have been watching videos about my other builds, then you know I really like going with combat reflexes. Stacking attacks of opportunity is one of the easiest ways of ensuring your wins, even on unfair. At level 5 you also get another exploit, but frankly, we already picked the strongest exploit, which is Potent Magic. I like going with Wooden Flesh, because it will actually give us a stacking natural bonus to armor class that also stacks with Bark Skin, for example, or Amulets of Natural Armor. More level 2 spell picks, we want Mirror Image for more defense, and you can also go with Cat's Grace if you have characters that depend on dexterity, as this will also become a +6 enhancement bonus with Powerful Change. At level 6 we have our first third spell picks. The choices are easy really. Haste, of course, as it's one of the most powerful buffs in the whole game, and also Greater Magic Weapon. So for level 7, I like going with Improved Initiative. As our character will be able to debuff the enemies with both Grease and Glitter Dust, it helps to act first before the enemy. Another exploit, in this case, I'll be going with Arcane Barrier because it will provide temporary hit points to our Arcanist. More 3 spell picks, you can go with something like Displacement, and also the Animal Aspect spell, and Heroism even if you don't have a character capable of casting it. Otherwise, if you already have a Bard or a Skald, for example, for Good Hope, then you can go with something like Protection from Arrows Communal. This is actually a very helpful ability to have until chapter 3 at least. Another Intelligence increase at level 8, and also our first level 4 spells. I like going with Stone Skin to highly reduce the damage the enemy can inflict on us. You can also pick something like Enlarge Person Mass, depending on how many melee characters you have really. And if they are mounted or not. If you are using them to ride pets, then don't cast Enlarge Person on them, because they will not be able to mount their pets. If you have melee characters that are not mounted, then this spell will be of great use, especially because you can increase the strength of all the party members that are subject to this spell with the Powerful Change Arcanist ability. Now level 9 is when things get really good for our Brown Fur, as this is when we get the very powerful Shared Transmutation ability. For your feat choice, I recommend going with Outflank to increase our melee capabilities. More spells now, and I definitely recommend you go with Animal Aspect if you have pets on your party. If you already watched my pet video, then you do know that with Animal Aspect Gorilla and the Shared Transmutation ability, you will be able to increase the power of your pet strip by a +4 bonus, so it is a perfect buff for both wolves and dogs. Besides that, you can also pick Sense Vitals to increase the damage you do in melee. Now level 10 is a bit of a crossroads. You might be surprised to know that I actually do love going with Eldritch Knight for Brown Furs. Once again, Brown Furs are basically about buffing your characters. It is true that they can also debuff the enemy with, let's say, Grease and Glitter Dust, but starting from the mid to late game, enemies have quite a lot of saving throws and a lot of them are immune to Grease. This is why I like going with Eldritch Knight to highly increase our attack bonus, meaning whenever we are not buffing, we will still be able to highly contribute to our party by hitting the enemies. So personally, I like going with Eldritch Knight. You can of course choose to keep your Brown Fur character pure and go with more of a spellcasting focus, but I don't find that really useful. It is true that at level 20, Brown Fur Transmuters actually have a capstone ability, Transmutation Supremacy. It works just the same as Powerful Change, except instead of a +2, the bonus will become +4. The problem is, this ability is bugged at the moment. If you quick save the game or load the game, your bonus will reset to just the +2 from Powerful Change. Not to mention the fact it only comes at level 20, so frankly I don't think it's worth it, as Eldritch Knight will actually gain a bonus feat as our first level. And I'll be going with Seize the Moment. Once again, attacks of opportunity are amazing. Another feat at level 11. Because we are an Eldritch Knight, then I recommend you go with Exotic Weapon Proficiency and pick Fauchard. This way you have both range and also high power. Fauchards actually have very high critical range, the same as Falcons, except they have more reach. Now choose Spell Progression Arcanist. It is true that Eldritch Knight will delay your spellcasting by 1, but frankly, in the case of Brown Fur it does not matter that much, because most of your powerful buffs are from spells that you can achieve early. One of them is the very powerful Animal Growth for pet buffing, and also the Genie kind spell. You might already know how powerful this is with the Elemental Barrage mythic ability, but the great thing about Brown Fur is that you will be able to cast this spell on other characters. Basically, your melee characters will become absolute powerhouses by using the shared transmutation ability with the spell, so let us pick it. Now for more level 5 spells at level 12, be sure to pick Echolocation. This spell is extremely powerful, and by default it is a personal transmutation only buff. But because we have the shared transmutation ability, we will be able to cast this on allies. It lasts very long, for the entire dungeon really. And basically we ensure that your allies pierce any concealment the enemy might have, without the need of the blind 5 feet or the true seeing spell, so overall very powerful. Now the remaining spells aren't really that useful. I'll go with Stone Skin Communal. Alright, by level 13 we can actually pick Improved Critical. Now our 4 shard will have 15-20 critical range, which is huge. At level 6 spells things get really good. You definitely want to use the mass version of the animal buffs such as Bow Strength and Cat's Grace. Be sure to use the powerful change ability, so all your allies will benefit from a +6 increase from these buffs. You can of course learn the others through spell scrolls, you don't have to pick them at level up. At level 14 I'll be going with Weapon Focus for Shard. More level 6 spells, we certainly want Transformation to increase the attack bonus of our medium base attack bonus characters, such as Oracles, Shamans, Alchemists and so on. This is also a great spell for multi-classing characters that have a lot of levels in classes that don't grant high base attack bonus. With the aid of this spell, you will be able to basically achieve fighter base attack bonus by making it equal to your character level. So in this case, I'll be going with the Spell Magic Greater to dispel some annoying enemy buffs. By level 15 we can pick Weapon Specialization and Full Shard. Now we have our first level 7 spell picks, and these are absolutely amazing. We want Ice Body, as we can share this spell with other characters. It's a perfect spell for melee characters, for example, because it's going to make them immune to ability score damage, blindness, and even critical hits. Not only that, but it's also time to pick the highly powerful Legendary Proportion spell. Because we now have merchants that sell you dinosaur bones, there's really no reason not to have this spell on at all times on most of your characters, unless they are riding mounts. Another intelligence increase. More level 7 spells, I recommend Firebrand because it has great synergy with Elemental Barrage, as it's going to empower all your allies with fire damage on their attacks, so you will just need another single element to proc Elemental Barrage, or even Greater Heroism if you don't have a Bard or another character that can cast it. Level 17, Greater Weapon Focus for Shard. Also some powerful level 8 spell picks here, such as Frightful Aspect, and of course Sea Mantle for even higher armor class. Another extra feat here from Eldritch Knight. I'd say for this one you can pick anything really. Even something like Power Attack, because you will have enough attack bonus to hit most enemies, even on unfair, provided you are properly buffed, and with a Brown Fur this is very easy to do. You can also go with something like Arcane Strike for higher damage. I'll be going with Power Attack. For more 8 spells I'll go with Dragonkind 3 and Protection from Spells. For level 19 I'll go with Arcane Strike. Now we finally also get our level 9 spells. You certainly want Fiery Body because of how powerful it is, but you can also just choose to use Ice Body instead. Besides that, Heroic Invocation. Last but not least, we finally are at level 20, which will go into our last Brown Fur level, and of course an intelligence increase. As for spell picks, Mind Blank Communal and Foresight. Alright, so let us talk about Mythic Progression for our Brown Fur Transmuter now. Because they are full spellcasters and very powerful buffers, you certainly want the Abundant Casting line, so they can buff your characters as much times as possible. If you are playing on, let's say, Unfair and having difficulty with your character staying alive, then consider picking the Last Stand ability early. I'll be going with Abundant Casting for now. Mythic level 2 choice is easy, Improved Abundant Casting. Now for Mythic level 3, choose Enduring Spells. Once again, we definitely want our buffs to last as long as possible. Mythic rank 4, Greater Enduring Spells. This way our buffs will last 24 hours and also be extremely powerful with the aid of the powerful change ability. At Mythic rank 5, I'll go with Last Stand. Now for Mythic rank 6, Greater Abundant Casting, as this should be close to when we are getting our level 7, 8 and 9 spells. Now starting from Mythic rank 7 onwards, we have already picked the most important abilities for a buffer spellcaster really. So the choices now are up to you. You can go with something like Ever Ready to increase the power of our attacks of opportunity. At Mythic rank 8, I'll go with Improved Critical Full Shard. Now we are at our last mythic rank. For all intents and purposes, let's go with Archmage Armor to increase our armor class even higher. Honestly, gear for your Brown Fur isn't anything special really. You certainly want Cloaks of Resistance, headbands that increase intelligence. For weapons, I like going with 4 Shard because of the very high critical range and also reach. In this case, I use the Mighty Blow of Good. I believe you can get this full shard as soon as chapter 3 by buying it from the exotic merchant's vendor in the Dresden city. The other slots are up to you really, such as increases in armor class from Rings of Protection, belts that cover stats, and as for armor, I would go with Haramakis because they don't interfere with spellcasting and still let you benefit from your full dexterity bonus to armor class. Well, so this was it everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this guide on how to build your Brown Fur Transmuter. As I said before, with this build, you gain a character that is very powerful at both melee and also buffing as far as spellcasting. Thank you for watching friends, please remember to support the channel by subscribing if you can, and see you next time.